welcome into the Wheelhouse Gear Elevation Sport and Lifestyle. Special guest host this morning, Colin Baker. You might remember him from last night from Undrafted, Uncensored. It was episode 60, by the way, Colin.
That's all right. No one said there would be counting involved in this, so
I was told there'd be no math in this profession.
Yes, but there is a sweet throwback hat that you got on, man. I gotta commend you for that. That's loving the throwback.
I actually got this at Dodger Stadium, not last year, but 2 years ago. It was the Vin Scully, what do you call it? Like
Tribute,
yeah,
memorial, yeah.
It wasn't like a bobblehead, but it was like it was a bobblehead. I have it somewhere, but it has and also has a Jackie Robinson patch on it, and it has stitched on the back. It has Vin Scully, and then the years he broadcasted for the Dodgers.
Nice, man. That's solid. Yeah, that's funny. I was at Dodger Stadium for the first time 2 years ago for my birthday too. But all I got was a little patch. I got an Elton John bobblehead, which I was wearing my Rocky stuff there. So needless to say, I had a bunch of Dodgers fans like, "Do you want that? Do you actually want that?" I'm like, "Of course I do. It's a bobblehead. Who wouldn't want it?"
They were reluctant to give you one in the first place because of what you were wearing, probably.
Yeah, they were reluctant to try and let me get in too. It felt like, but I ended up getting on the field too. End of the game fireworks.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty dope birthday trip.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah, first time at Dodger Stadium, by the way. I know it was built in the mid 60s probably, because it opened in 60 whatever.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's old.
It is terrible to get in and out of that place. Might be because it's like sitting in a bowl, like in a mountain, and then there's really only one way in and one way out. So you just kind of spiral up this mountain, and then you sink into a bowl. But it is cool though. It is a cool stadium.
It's cool for a lot of the history aspect, and they've done some stuff to upgrade it. But you're right, getting in and out. I was Ubering back and forth, and that was just not fun. I think I walked around the whole stadium at the end to get to where the Ubers picked up at.
Yeah. So
I took one wrong turn, and it took me, and then the Uber took another hour to get.
Yeah, back in whenever they started building it, 50s, 60s, or whatever it was, they're let's build this stadium in a mountain, and then they didn't think of the 8,000 million people that will be trying to get in and out in the later 2020s. They weren't thinking about us. So
yeah, it was the original Uncle Rico that said we're gonna hit balls over them mountains.
Yeah. So it was cool, a cool experience for sure. So a lot to get into this morning. Obviously, it's the first time that the Wheelhouse has been on since the MLB Awards were handed out. Do a quick recap of that as well. Also, we're looking on the NBA. I know you guys talked about the in-season tournament last night. As we're a couple weeks into it now, see if any tunes have been changed. And also, I mean, are we just choking dudes out for no reason now? Is that what the NBA is about nowadays? And also, we'll do our weekly NFL rundown, giving you our picks for this morning, as well as a little bit of fantasy advice. Speaking of which, go to e5280sports.com now. Fantasy Talk with Tom. His new episode is right there on the front page. I want to give a quick shout out to our Between the Lines host, Kim Becker, who is going to be the first female PA announcer at Empower Field at Mile High tonight. Collins.
Nice.
She is taking over the stadium. She normally they do like live look-ins and live like in-game betting. They toss it to her on the big screen, but she will be the PA announcer for tonight's game, Sunday Night Football. So first female ever to do it at Empower Field at Mile High. So pretty cool there.
Yo, congrats, Kim. That's awesome. Seriously, like big props and on prime time.
Yeah, prime
Beauty.
time. There you go. So yeah, the Vikings will be in town tonight. get to these MLB awards. And, well, I think that I was kind of, I don't want to say predicting, at least the MVP awards. Colin, obviously, Shohei wins his, second MVP in 2 years?
Yeah.
He won in 2021, the AL MVP. And then, of course, Ronald Acuna Jr. takes it home in the NL for the Atlanta Braves. Had a fantastic season for the Atlanta Braves as he batted .337, 41 homers, 73 stolen bases, by the way, for Ronald Acuna Jr. Did you know this stat, by the way? I know it's a little sidetrack, but I read it somewhere that the Philadelphia Phillies struck out 167 times in their playoff run this season.
No.
Tony Gwynn struck out 160 times his entire career.
I mean, I knew Tony Gwynn didn't strike out a lot, and there are players who, before the All-Star break, have as many strikeouts as him sometimes. Wow, just the whole team in the playoff run. Tony Gwynn was so good, man.
Yeah, Kyle Schwarber had like 160 of those. So
he had 160 of those, and then 160 shore bombs. It feels like.
Yeah, it's either a home run or a strikeout with him. Were you happy? Were you surprised? Were you okay with the MVP voting? Both unanimous, by the way.
I was going to say it's surprising that it was both unanimous. First time it's ever happened where both have been unanimous MVPs, I want to say. Yeah, Acuna deserves it. He made history. I'm always a fan of, if you're making good history in multiple ways, you should be the MVP. And that's one thing that Acuna did. It's just kind of, he was overshadowed at the start of the season with the rookies that were really popping off. I mean, De La Cruz in Cincinnati, and then, oh my goodness, why am I blanking on his name right now, in Miami, who were both on hot streaks. He was a little overshadowed in what he did, and that's kind of the Major League Baseball also not promoting its players well enough, because you had to really watch the game to know that he was chasing that 40-40 stolen base and home run record, and then or not the 40-40, I think it was the 60-40, 40 home runs and 60 stolen bases. It was tough, but having seen Acuna play, I was able to go to Atlanta this year. He's well deserving. He's so good. He is so good.
Definitely deserving. And like you said, history made. 73 stolen bases is pretty incredible. Yeah, and then Shohei Ohtani, obviously, not only is he a two-way player, 304 batting average, 44 home runs. He had 20 stolen bases. He also went 10-5 as a pitcher. And remember, too, he was shut down a little bit early pitching-wise. So he is the American League. And also, when free agency opens, it'll be interesting to see where he goes and who wants to spend the money, by the way. Also, if real life is anything like MLB The Show 23 that I'm playing, the Giants will sign him. So I finally got through my entire season of playing 162 games, and it's not going to be like real life, Colin, because the Rockies won the World Series. So
no, in MLB 20. Well, did you do like a brand new draft, whole new rosters? Is that what you did, or
no?
Oh,
you just play it on easy difficulty, and then you win like 120 in a row.
Okay. We were going streaking. You had a little Will Ferrell moment, going streaking to the quad.
No, but I did win the World Series as the Rockies, and I snuck in as a wild card team.
Okay. You know what? You should just become the GM of the Rockies.
Funny, ironically, is the Rockies beat the Angels in the World Series in MLB The Show. So there you go.
I mean, I guess that midseason trade really helped out both teams there, huh?
Yeah. Randall Grichuk was not on their playoff roster, by the way, but CJ Cron was.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
See, the trade paid dividends. We just didn't know it yet.
Paid off. So hopefully it's like real life. Cy Young Awards, Garrett Cole in the American League for the New York Yankees. He went 15-4, 263 ERA, 222 strikeouts. And Blake Snell of the San Diego Padres, took home the NL Cy Young Award, went 14-9, 2.25 ERA, 234 strikeouts. Garrett Cole, I'm okay with, I guess, even though whatever. But Blake Snell was a little surprising. I haven't gone through like all the National League pitchers to really compare him, but I want to say that one was a little surprising. And again, zero research, all reaction here, Colin. So I haven't done any comparisons to other pitchers in the National League, but it's his second, by the way, second Cy Young. He won one, 2017, 2018 when he was with Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, yeah.
So that's his second Cy Young. Were you shocked, surprised, okay with these picks?
You know, same thing. It's all reaction, but my first reaction to that was that it should have been a guy like Spencer Strider. Blake Snell he was never dominant this year. Garrett Cole, same thing. I'm okay with that. A bad start to the year, but then he really came on and proved he was the ace. But Blake Snell, this year, you never felt like he was dominant, really. That he had everything, that he had everything to stop you. And so the one name that comes to my mind was Spencer Strider of the Braves, who was just mowing down guys left and right. I mean, when you looked at his betting lines every night, it was just like, take the over on whatever strikeouts you have, and most nights you're going to win some money. So that's one thing that really surprised me. I was just like, what did Blake Snell do this year? He won it on name, on past experience rather than this year's performance. Because, I mean, when your team doesn't even make the playoffs, your organization has to take a $50 million loan out to pay you as part of that. You're not doing something right. And I know the team's payroll is not on him, but he didn't perform this year.
Right. And I'm assuming ERA had something to do with it, because I know Zach Gallen's name was thrown in the Cy Young conversation as well.
That's a good
and
one,
if
too.
you do compare it, Blake Snell, 14-9, 2.25 ERA. Spencer Strider went 20-5. He won 20 games, but his ERA was just under 4, 3.86. So I guess I'm assuming they're going by ERA. And then also Spencer Strider had way more strikeouts, 281 strikeouts. Zach Gallen went 17-9, so still a better record than Blake Snell, but his ERA was a little bit higher, 3.47, and he had a little bit less strikeouts than Blake Snell, 220. So
Okay.
We're in the conversation, but I'm assuming it went ERA. But if you were going by team performance, yeah, definitely Spencer Strider and Zach Gallen. I mean, his team made it. I know it's not a postseason award. It has nothing to do with the postseason, but his team did make it to the World Series.
Yeah, and Zach Gallen, I didn't know the other names that were mentioned in there. Like I said, all I saw was that Snell won it. But Gallen is a fully. It's really weird to say that the Diamondbacks had someone that good throwing. We're used to the Diamondbacks and the Rockies fighting for last place in the division. So yeah, Gallen's name and what he did and meant to the Diamondbacks team and their turnaround, making it to the World Series. That's an MVP Cy Young type of moment too. That should be taken into consideration.
Yeah, for sure. And then manager of the year, Baltimore's manager, Brandon Hyde, wins as Baltimore. By the way, speaking of the two Cy Young Awards winners, real quick, both of those teams spending boatloads of money and not even coming close to the playoffs. I know when I had Nick subbing on one week. I said it was cool to see the Yankees not make the playoffs, and then he subsequently pointed to the huge Yankee flag he had in his background. So
I was gonna say, did you bad talk the Yankees? Because he probably got really offended.
Just a quick shout out to the Yankees not making the playoffs. So Brandon Hyde wins the AL Manager of the Year after his another team, Colin, that was pretty crappy 2-3 years ago to winning 100+ games this season, and then to unfortunately get pretty much swept out of the playoffs. The AL East, by the way, in the playoffs did not win one game.
Nope.
All three teams that made the playoffs from the AL East got swept out. And then Miami's Skip Schumacher by the way. Couldn't even tell you who Miami's manager was until Skip Shewalker won the NL Manager of the Year, and then Miami snuck in as a wild card team this year.
You know, you can obviously Baltimore. They were the number 1 seed in the American League going in, and as you mentioned, it is not a postseason award because if it was, it would go to either the Astros or the it would probably go to a guy like maybe Dusty, but it would probably go to the Rangers coach. But a little surprised that it wasn't that didn't end up in Arizona as manager of the year, coach of the year. It's when you saw, I think it's how Arizona ended the season. If they had stayed about as hot as they did during the regular season or early on in the season, I think that it would have ended up there. It's tough when you got a team that played so good early on and set those expectations, and then they had the drop off, which kind of was expected. But you're in the same division as the Padres and the Giants and the Dodgers, of course. You get overshadowed no matter how good of a run you have. It's much, if the Orioles didn't have as good of a year as they did, I don't think he would have been coach of the year out there.
Right. Yeah, because there was a couple of National League teams that like you said, Arizona or I don't know, but I guess because Miami had a slight turnaround, I'm assuming that's what the reason for Skip Shoemaker winning the NL award. So I guess I'm okay with it. Again, snuck in as a wild card team, and so he wins the NL Manager of the Year. Yeah, Bruce Bochy should have been. I know he was in the conversation for Texas for this award. So
yeah,
and Texas again, one of those other teams. Same with Baltimore. Losing, I don't know, 80 to 90 games a couple of years ago to winning over 100. I don't know. I don't think Texas got to 100, but
I think they both were 100-game losers.
Yeah, a few years ago. Same with Arizona. So you could throw all those guys in the conversation.
Yeah.
Speaking
of
Arizona,
Torey Lovello is
Speaking of Arizona, Corbin Carroll takes home the National League Rookie of the Year as he batted 285, 25 homers, 76 runs batted in for the National League Rookie of the Year. And then Baltimore takes home another award as their third baseman, Gunnar Henderson, wins the American League Rookie of the Year, 255, 28 homers, 82 RBIs. Were you okay with those picks?
Yeah, for sure. Corbin Carroll was on fire. He really helped that team go. Luis Arraez was the other guy that I was thinking of in Miami who had the hitting record, the hit streak. And De La Cruz in Cincinnati were the other contenders. But what Arizona did and Corbin Carroll did, he was just, fun to watch. And I know it didn't matter in the playoffs, but man, he came up clutch in a few games there when he was struggling. He put him in the spot and he shined brightest when the spotlight was on him. And Rasmussen Adley in Baltimore. The American League didn't really feel like it had rookies that made noise this year. I don't know if I missed something or if it was just really the three National League guys, De La Cruz, Arraez, and Carroll, who made all the noise and overshadowed the American League.
Yeah. And Baltimore they had two, like you just mentioned, two pretty good rookies fighting for the American League Rookie of the Year. So those are the awards that were handed out this season. Well, this, I guess, after season. So, I guess I'm okay with it. Again, Blake Snell was a little bit of a surprise for me for San Diego. And again, a team that spent crap ton of money and didn't go anywhere and saw obviously the Dodgers win another National League pennant, another National League title, and then Arizona sneaking in and making it all the way to the World Series. So a couple teams in there, Colin, that the team in Colorado can take notes from, but they won't because they do not like looking how other teams are built.
Well, I was going to say, you're forgetting the most important award. the best Nolan out there, the only one to win any sort of award. Nolan Jones, Rocky center fielder, baby. Let's go. Or right fielder, outfielder.
Yeah.
Nolan Jones taking home some hardware in his rookie year. He had a damn good season. If it wasn't for those three players I mentioned already, Nolan Jones probably would have been in talks for winning some awards, some other awards.
Well, and if he probably would have played a little bit more games as well, could have got those stats up. But also Brenton Doyle. How about him?
Brenton Doyle. That's right.
I was gonna say, yeah, Brenton Doyle winning a Gold Glove as well.
And yes, I mixed that up. Brenton Doyle won the award. Nolan Jones was in the talks. Yeah, he's the best Nolan for sure. My favorite one. I don't know about you guys. Yeah, Brenton Doyle. Doyle rules. All right.
There you go. Yeah. Don't drive over any banana peels because it just ends in bad news. But I mean, yeah, Brenton Doyle taking home some more. There was two. I don't remember the other rookie that took home another Gold Glove, but there was two rookies that took home Gold Gloves. So yeah, Brenton Doyle. There you go. Getting that hardware. And speaking of the other Nolan, how about 10 years of winning Gold Gloves snapped this season?
And a Rocky got on that list as a finalist instead of Nolan. Did you see that? Rymack was a finalist. Yeah, Rymack was a finalist over Nolan.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Again, if MLB The Show 23 is anything like real life, then there would have been 3 Gold Gloves on the Rockies. And also Chris Bryant would hit 53 home runs, and the aforementioned Ryan McMahon would hit 50. So they were in the home run race by themselves, which will never happen. So,
I was going to say that's the only place Chris Bryant can hit home runs.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you this, but I had kind of a joke, or it was in seriousness, but it was kind of joking that I said, would Chris Bryant have more spring training home runs than regular season home runs?
He probably came close, didn't
he? He came close. He did not double his amount of spring training home runs, though. He had like 5 in the spring training and 9 in the regular season for the Rockies. Yeah. Something like that. And I know that he did not double his total from spring training. What a terrible signing by the Rockies.
Great acquisition.
And I mean, maybe you as the GM, like I said, as you are in 23, you should in the show, you should just take over and you could give him the right motivation. That's all he needs.
We provide sleep number beds, so his back is on point in fantasy video game baseball land.
Yes.
So we provide sleep number beds and no one's carrying meat upstairs. Nobody's getting run over by snow blowers. So
that's a good old one. Oh, the snow blower.
It's all nobody's helping Todd Helton bring meat upstairs and slipping. So
someone else is paving Joe Sakic's driveway.
Yeah.
Or paving, clearing.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. Yeah, those are the MLB awards. Again, pretty solid across the board. It could have been a few interchangeable pieces, but overall, pretty much suspected, at least maybe for the MVP awards, as the voters obviously thought so, as both of them were unanimous. So, and how about that? Shohei Ohtani, the 2 times he's won it, he's the first player ever to win 2 MVP awards when both times were unanimous as well. So, yeah,
that might be the stat that I had heard. I did not realize that. I guess I do remember him being unanimous 2 years ago.
Yeah,
he set everything on fire. He is going to get paid, and
again, who's going to dish out that money?
I honestly think it might be just where he wants to go. He seems like the type of guy who, he wants to get paid, but I also think he's going to choose a destination that will be a winner, but also he's not just going to go to the highest bidder. He wants to go to a place where he wants to be. That's my sense that I get from him. So staying in LA would not surprise me. But I don't know if he wants
LA team.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants to be a Dodger. Oh,
because also Clayton Kershaw is a free agent, so they have to figure that out. And I read somewhere too that I forgot his name. The other kind of not a pro. I don't know what you call it in baseball. Not a prospect, but another guy pitching for Japan last year. I read too that they might want to team up somewhere. So you better have your checkbooks pretty much clear because if you're trying to sign Shohei and that other dude, then you better have a pretty big bank account. So you better have your Cayman account ready. You better have your Goldman and Sachs account ready. You better have whatever, because if you try to sign both of those guys, I mean, that's going to pretty much tie you up for a lot of years to come. But you might get the fruits of labor come out of it at the end. So
yeah, the other place that I've heard and is really a possibility is the Cubs.
Yeah, I did see a picture of him photoshopped in a Cubs uni.
That would be. They have a pretty strong. The Cubs have a strong history of international players, and yep. I feel like that would. I don't know if he wants to be in the Midwest or in Chicago. I don't know if that's a place that he wants to go, but I feel like the Cubs are going to make a push, and that team could be scary because they do have some young talent, and as slow as they started the season, they had some good runs in there and showed some signs of life in the season. And a guy like Shohei, that and the Cubs uniform, you would get free agents, I think, going to that team because they want to win and the fans want to win.
Oh yeah, and you talk about selling out when you lose 100 games. If Shohei is in a Cubs uniform, I mean, you could probably sell a rooftop ticket for $150 a piece.
So. Yeah, I'm glad I knocked that stadium off my list before he gets there because I don't know if I'd be able to get in, even if it's the Rockies playing them next year.
Yeah, so I'm just curious who's going to not only try to sign him, but if he were to team up with that other guy from Japan, how much that is going to cost. Unless they both are like, hey, we'll both take hometown discounts to team up together. You never know. And also, too, I mean, you got to plug him into your pitching rotation. So that's another – and I don't think Shohei is really playing much defense just to kind of conserve him, injury-wise and health-wise or whatever. But, you throw him at the DH. So, I'm sure all the National League teams are lucky that the DH crept over to their league and it's not just American League anymore.
Yeah, that's a huge point. With the universal DH, Shohei doesn't have to take a day off and play defense or be in the field like because that was happening during the interleague play where it would depend on how his pitching rotation was because I knew that I think there was one time he came to Colorado where all we saw him was come in and pinch hit one day because he was in the middle of his pitching rotation. And so it was his days off, but he would come in and play center field. And I think we forget that he was a damn good center fielder. Also, he's so good. But now with the universal DH, he can just swing the bat, and that's what he was relegated to after his shoulder. And even you mentioned his losses earlier when the Cy Young or in the MVP. He some of those losses at the end of the year, he actually won one or two games, I want to say, after it looked like he was injured and pitched damn good. And even the game he was pulled in was like a 1-0 game.
Yeah. So again, you have many options, and if you were or had to throw him on defense, you might do the old Bryce Harper. Just throw him at first base,
I mean, it worked for Harper. I mean, yeah, he was hitting bombs in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, and he didn't play that bad of a first base. And Philadelphia said, too, that going forward, he's probably going to be their first baseman. I don't know what's up with Rice. What's his name? Rice Hodgkins?
Reuse Hoskins or Rice. Yeah. I think it's Reuse Rice. Yeah.
But either way, he got hurt. So I don't know if they're going to move him. I mean, if you're keeping Schwarber, he's obviously the DH. I don't know if he can play defense anymore. He is an outfielder by trade. But I mean, Schwarber is your prototypical DH, right? So I don't know what's going on with Hodgkins.
Yeah, Schwarber and Vogelbach for the Mets are your typical DH guys in the NL. I mean,
built like a DH.
Built like a DH. I mean, Giambi, you got to imagine a guy like Giambi right now is going crazy thinking he could have played in either league. If he could have played in either league for his career as a DH.
Yeah, I mean, Rockies had to throw him at first base because, I mean, he did come up as a first baseman, but, you know, the more steroids he took, he couldn't really move around as well, we'll say. So,
Yeah,
he would have been a pretty good Rockies designated hitter.
Yeah, if they had that for the years, because he came up with some hits, but I mean, there's a lot of guys. You mentioned Tony Gwynn earlier. Tony Gwynn was still serviceable playing, but man, if he could have just been a DH, like,
didn't Tony Gwynn win like 10 Gold Gloves though, or something?
He did, but closer to the end of his career, and also not that he didn't deserve it, but I think some of that at the end of the year was just like, who are we going to give it to? Well, Tony had a pretty good year.
Right.
Many were deserved, but towards the end, if he could just stand up there and swing the bat,
5 Gold Gloves for Tony Gwynn, by the way.
Okay.
So not 10, but again, like you said, serviceable outfielder.
Yeah, oh man, the DH is really, the universal DH has really changed baseball.
Do you like that, by the way? Are you glad to not see a pitcher go up there and pretty much strike out? You had your rare, I guess, like Bartolo Colons and Mike Hamptons and guys like that who could hit a ball.
Adam Wainwright.
Yeah, Clayton Kershaw was okay with the stick. I mean, are you glad that they made DH universal? Because you know, everyone was like, I hate when pitchers bat. But you know, the traditionalists are like, well, there's more strategy involved because the pitchers bunt to get guys, and you play a little bit more small ball. But now, you know, that kind of strategy, I guess, has changed.
Yeah, see, I like it in the aspect of there aren't really wasted at bats anymore, but I'm still against it. I feel that, yeah, the strategy of the game does change because, I mean, the double switch, like the double switch and the strategy for the coaches changes. And I know now, too, with the pitchers having to face 3 hitters, that has changed. Pitch clock. I mean, some of those things, I don't mind like the pitch clock, but I really think the strategy on the coaching end has changed because if you pinch hit for your pitcher late in a game, you would typically have to make a double switch in order to have that pitcher spot not come up again. And there was more strategy, and yeah, sometimes it was ugly. I mean, way more often than not, it was ugly. But there are some guys out there who took it seriously. Like I said, Bumgarner wanted to be in the home run derby. So from a strategy point, I don't like it. But from a fan point, if it means more butts in the seats and more people who come and watch baseball, I'm okay because baseball really has been dying for a while and they needed to make some changes. So.
And I think a lot of it had to do with speeding up the game because, like you mentioned, you know, you pinch hit for a pitcher, and then you come out there and the manager's standing at home plate with his little lineup card and his. I think it had. I know it only took a couple minutes, but I think that had to do with also trying to speed the game up. And you know, you make all these substitutions. A new pitcher has to come out. You throw warm up pitches for I don't know how long. So I think it also had to do with secretly speeding the game up just a little bit more too.
Oh, and then I was going to say, and then you have the pitcher come and throw his warm-ups, and what does the coach do? He switches to a different hitter.
Right.
You know? There was a cat and mouse type of game that happened that doesn't happen anymore. It's taking some of the intrigue out of the strategy. It's kind of like best ball football, best ball lineups now. Just put your guys out there, and however they play each week is how you do.
All right. Yeah. I mean, obviously baseball is a game full of, just teams playing chess against each other. But yeah, I mean, taking that aspect out of it changed it for sure. And again, I'm assuming, like you said, baseball's kind of been on the downswing, no pun intended, for the last couple of years. So I don't know if it changed the attendance or viewership, but this was one of the lower watched World Series in a long time.
And that's really unfortunate because it was a great World Series, but it's the Texas Rangers and the Arizona
I liked
Diamondbacks.
it because it was two new teams.
Yeah, or two teams. Well, the Rangers we hadn't seen, but the Diamondbacks haven't seen in
Right.
a while.
Yeah. And it is kind of crazy, again, to think that Texas has never won a World Series up until now.
Yeah, and they've had some teams. I mean, remember when they assembled that team with A-Rod, that it was like A-Rod, Hamilton. They were supposed to be the
Well,
team
they
to
should
beat.
have. I mean, they had a big lead in 08 against St. Louis, and then was it the David Freese series?
Oh, I think you're right. Oh man, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
They went to back-to-back World Series.
And then that was home dude who had the yips also as the pitcher.
The what?
The pitcher who got the yips and couldn't throw strikes anymore. And then he became an outfielder. Why am I blanking on his name?
For St. Louis or Texas?
Yeah, St. Louis.
Wasn't that Skip Shoemaker?
No. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna.
I know who you're thinking of. Yeah, I can see his face, but I don't remember his name.
Yeah, I'm gonna Rick Ankiel.
Rick Ankiel.
Yeah, man, what a story that was. That was oh man, that was such good baseball.
Yeah,
like you saw him, and then he came back after not being able to pitch and becoming really an all-star outfielder.
And that's how old Adam Wainwright is, because he was on those teams.
Yeah, man, I was glad I got to see him pitch when I was in St. Louis. That was cool. That was really cool.
Chris Carpenter, they had some good pitchers back then.
They did, and of course they had the best catcher in the game, Yadier Molina.
Yeah, that's how old he is. And Scott Rowland over at third, so one of the most recent Hall of Fame inductees. So yeah, we'll see what happens this offseason with Shohei. We mentioned Cody Bellinger. Speaking of the Cubs, he's a free agent. Clayton Kershaw. So a lot of big names out there could be in different places. So it'll be interesting to see.
Hey, we talked about this last night, but I want to get your opinion. So the Rockies, the pitcher they traded for, he's still arbitration eligible. This is something that doesn't happen often. I'm a fan because the Rockies are trying something different, but it could blow up in their face. I'm not sure what to think. I just don't know how do you feel about that?
About
making a trade for a guy who's still arbitration eligible.
Well, it's funny because he was designated like less than a week ago by Cleveland. So I don't even know how. I guess he didn't clear waivers, so they were still able to trade him.
Yeah,
I'm assuming because he was DFA'd. Less than a week ago. But I'm assuming he didn't. I mean, don't you clear waivers in like a day? Like
I don't know about during the offseason how that works. It's a really weird situation, but
as soon as they traded for him, I'm like, oh, they're gonna either swap or like flip him and swap him for something else, or they're just going to buy him out or something. Because I mean, Cal Quantrill, I don't. Again, zero research, all reaction. I don't know what his numbers were last year.
He should be the middle of a road starter on.
Yeah, he's. I mean, on the Rockies, he might be a 2 or a 3, but Cleveland. I don't know. I mean, I guess they can pay him for a year and then see what happens.
I think it's interesting that how it played out. You just don't see that happen a lot. You just don't see it happen really in Major League Baseball. So we'll see what happens. I'm kind of excited that the Rockies are taking a somewhat different approach and doing some things we haven't seen because what they have been doing hasn't worked. So it gives me a little bit of hope that someone got in Monfort's ear here and has changed his views on some things.
Yeah,
or his approach.
And who knows how long that's going to last, because he does not like to take anybody's advice or again, look at other franchises like Arizona and say, hey, we can do that, but does not do it.
Yeah.
So there you go. Are we sick of homeboys' antics in the NBA, by the way? The new edition of Draymond Green. Don't know if you saw it. Obviously, it was all over. If you're living under a rock, you may not have seen it, but choking out Rudy Gobert. And look, I don't like Rudy Gobert either, but he really didn't do anything. And Draymond just goes up and chokes him, puts him in a chokehold. How about this, Colin, too? What amazed me was like minutes into the game, the score was 0-0. And Clay Thompson got into a scuffle with McDaniels. McDaniels and him, threw each other around. Clay Thompson's jersey got ripped. And, both benches almost clear. If you come off the bench in the NBA now, you're going to get fined or suspended or whatever. So, it's not like baseball where the bullpen comes out of nowhere and starts fighting people.
10 minutes later.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to change that, by the way. If you leave the bullpen, you're suspended. You can't pitch. But anyway, I mean, are we just done? Are you just done with Draymond? I mean, this, kicking fools in the nuts, and then he got kicked a couple weeks ago, and nobody really cared because everyone said it was karma, and then he goes out again. I'm not a Rudy Gobert fan. I don't like the guy, but I'm just sick of Draymond doing this kind of crap, and then just the immature, clown-like nature of this guy. He's past his prime. He doesn't do anything on offense. I guess he's still a, above average defender.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just sick of it.
I mean, you're exactly right. No one really is a Rudy Gobert fan except for Tim Connolly. I think he is the only one. He wanted him in Denver. For Draymond, I mean, they chose Draymond over it wasn't Poole, was it? Was it Jordan Poole that they shipped off right this offseason?
Because Draymond punched him in the face.
Yeah, they had a fight in practice. I mean, this is after last year's thing, and where we probably wouldn't have known about how idiotic that really was. And, he punches his own teammate last year. He's dirty. And, you say when you get older and you learn these other tricks to kind of help you get by, but his tricks that he learned are just bad basketball. And I don't know how he isn't suspended for a long time. I mean, I know last year's incident was a team incident and it wasn't in an NBA game, but you got to look at history, and Draymond has done so much bad.
Yeah.
It's like if Dante Jones was a little bit better offensively, I think him and Draymond would have had like some fights like years ago. I mean, Dante Jones, I loved him as a Nugget at times, but man, when he would make some stupid plays, like he pushed Kobe in the back on one when he had an easy layup and Kobe went down hard one time, I was like, oh man, you are going to get in so much trouble for that.
Well, the thing is, Kobe wouldn't have responded, and he would have went out. He would have went out and scored 80 points on you. That's how he responded.
Yeah,
and he might have the next time, or I don't remember which game you're talking about specifically, but yeah, I mean, it's just the difference between mentalities, I guess, and I guess that was the quote unquote Mamba mentality. So, I mean, I was just scrolling on Facebook, Colin, and it said Draymond is a better two-way player than Ray Allen. Number one, Draymond sucks at offense. Number two, I don't remember Ray Allen being that great on defense.
Yeah, they're both totally
opposites.
Yeah, I mean, Draymond's a better defender, than Ray Allen, but there's no way offensively you can compare.
I know. Ray Allen is number 2 or 3 in three-pointers made or something?
Yeah. And he hit some huge three-pointers in the playoffs for the Celtics.
And the Heat.
The Heat. That's the Heat.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of sick of it. So what was your guys' consensus last night on the in-season tournament? I know last time you were on, Colin, we kind of touched on it. I don't think it had started yet.
Yeah.
The different courts and stuff like that. Obviously, the home teams wear their city edition jerseys, which is weird because it's the dark jerseys. Most teams have their dark jerseys as the city edition. So the away teams wears the white or their normal white, I guess, light uniforms. So it's a little confusing, but at first I thought if you win an in-season tournament or lose an in-season tournament, it doesn't count against your overall record, but it does. So I figured that out a week or so ago. And so I was like, wait a minute, it's not really extra games. It still counts for your regular season record. So, but what was your guys' overall take on the in-season tournament?
Well, mine is that it's a decent idea. It's just not executed right. And so it really kind of sucks right now. But they can do better, and it could be something that is promoted better. I think, like Joe hates it. It's the stupidest thing in the world. The part that really is, the hardest thing to swallow is that what does it really mean? I mean, it means $500,000 in someone's pocket for the winner. But losing games, it hurts you in your regular season standings. You're forced to play some weird games because of how your division or whoever's in your division, which I think can make traveling, especially going forward, some of the travel days really weird. And, your rest days. And are you really going to get the best thing in an in-season tournament? Whereas like overseas, if you have the in-season tournament, you're getting the best guys playing their best because they want to win that. In the NBA, you're not going to get those best players playing all of these games, because I might have mentioned it with you, but I know I mentioned it on the Undrafted, is that a coach like Popovich is going to rest his guys in games like this because he sees no point in an in-season tournament when it gives you nothing. If it promised you a play-in spot where you had, for the playoffs, cool. If you got relegated to the G League for losing and being the worst team in the tournament, cool. Like, if it meant something or held some clout besides just, $500K to me and you, a whole lot of money. But to an NBA player, most of them, it doesn't move the needle as much.
You know how not much money that is? Draymond's suspended for 5 games. He's missing out on $746,000. So him just missing 5 games, he's not making more than what you would win with this cup.
Yeah,
NBA Cup, by the way, they got to work on that name too, because me and Matt touched on it last week. NBA Cup, really?
Yeah. Oh, the NBA Cup. I didn't know it was officially labeled the NBA Cup.
Yeah.
My reaction is
for people watching. There's your NBA Cup. If you can drink out of it, I'm fine with cup. But you have, and we went through all the names on the awards now. The Bill Russell Award is the NBA Finals MVP. The regular season MVP is the Michael Jordan Award. The All-Star Game MVP is the Kobe Bryant Award. You got to come up with something better than the NBA Cup. Like you said, I mean, just execution on it. It feels like soccer. You're talking about group stages and cups. If it has a lot of soccer vibes to it.
Yeah.
With the naming, I guess. So come on, think of a better name, at least for the trophy. NBA Cup, really?
I mean, I do hope that they continue this and learn from this year and next year improve upon it, because I do think that you can have an in-season tournament mean something and have it be a viable piece to your regular season. I just don't. It feels like they rushed it this year. And nothing's going to be perfect right away, but this seems a lot more imperfect than perfect. And I mean, the courts, I'm sorry, I can't watch the games. I cannot watch. You mentioned the uniforms. Yeah, that's confusing, but the courts, man,
some courts are cool. Some of them have cool designs, and I do how like they're trying something, like you said. And maybe they'll work out the kinks for going forward, or maybe they just put the kibosh on it after one season. And like, yeah, this didn't work out. I mean, it's gonna shift to Vegas in December for the finals, I guess is what we're calling it, or the whatever late round. I don't know what the championship round is going to be called, but it shifts. I do like the commercial, by the way, with the dude from The Sopranos. I do like that commercial.
Oh, I haven't seen it, but I was gonna say I can almost guarantee you that any commercial promoting the NBA has no Denver Nuggets in it.
It does have I want to say I think Aaron Gordon is in it.
Oh, Aaron Gordon is the one who I love AG, but man, come
Joker's,
on.
I mean, let's face it, Joker's not going to be in it. He's not going to be in the commercial.
No, but I mean, opening night they didn't even have the Nuggets on the poster for opening night.
And I could be wrong. Aaron Gordon could not possibly be in it. I know two of the guys we just talked about are in it.
Oh man, yeah,
Draymond and Rudy Gobert are in it. Maybe that's why they're fighting, because Draymond wanted more screen time.
Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't get enough screen time. There you go. That's a good call.
Yeah, I don't remember now. I'm totally drawing a blank. But the dude from The Sopranos is in it. What was his name in the? I want to say the nephew, Tony Soprano's nephew, who had the girlfriend, and then he was trying to prove himself the whole show. I forgot his name. Michael, maybe.
I know who you're talking. Christopher Maltisanti, Tony's nephew.
Yeah, him. He's in the commercial, like kind of narrating it. So, and it's in Vegas. Yeah. It has a very Ocean's 11 vibe to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up. He's done a bunch of sports stuff.
Yeah.
It feels like he's promoted a lot of stuff. Good on him, man. Continue that Sopranos run and parlay that into a career doing ads.
Yeah, pun intended on the parlays. So it is a cool commercial. Again, hopefully they work out the kinks and change the name of the cup. I don't know. I don't know what you would call it. Maybe they're waiting to see who wins it or wins the. Is there going to be another MVP of this little thing? Maybe name it after. I don't know. You can't really name it after someone in the past because this is the first time thing. I don't know.
Yeah, man. It's tough, and yeah, it feels very kind of thrown together, and maybe they are just really trying to throw everything at the wall, see what sticks and what works and what doesn't, and next year we see a more finely tuned product. That's kind of why I hope that we give it a chance, because this does work in other leagues, especially Euro basketball midseason tournaments. So I hope that it gets another chance and it doesn't totally flop, even though I feel like it already has gone that way. And by the time the finals happen in Vegas, I don't think people are going to be paying as much attention. Right.
It'd be cool to go to a game in Vegas. Speaking of Vegas, we didn't touch on this when we were talking about baseball. Unanimous, I don't know how to say it now. The Oakland A's have been voted on to move on to the Las Vegas area. Number one, where do they put a stadium if there is not already one there? Number two, do they play in where the Raiders play again? Do they share another? Or
I didn't even think about them sharing a stadium with the Raiders again.
Or no, they'll get a brand new one.
Well, they will. Yeah.
And do they keep the name? Is it going to be the Las Vegas A's, or do they change it? I mean, A's they have some good history, minus the last couple of years, Colin. Do they change the name? I don't see that they would, but they could, I guess.
I mean, they could. I feel bad. I mean, I told you I was down there in Oakland for the last game of the season, and I got to sit in this section with all the fans out in right field, and right field Will, I had a chance to talk to him, and the family, atmosphere that was around all those people there. They love that team, and the stadium is crap. Major League Baseball and ownership didn't do anything to help keep that team there, which is sad, because you are right. They have history and they deserve better. And I think the people of Oakland deserve better. I mean, we were talking about Acuna Jr. and base stealing. They had the best base stealer ever in the history of baseball in Ricky Henderson there. They had the Bash brothers. They just, it's sad. And Vegas is one of those destinations now that they're going to get a team and they're going to do just fine. I mean, hockey has succeeded there. Football has succeeded there. I think we all knew football. Football is an easy one, but hockey has done phenomenal there.
Not only that, coming off a Stanley Cup champion and going to the Stanley Cup final their first season.
Yeah, it's proven to be a town that will support its teams. Now, we haven't seen them go through really tough times in hockey. I mean, obviously in football, Josh McDaniels, that's the toughest of times that you can go through is getting a guy like Josh McDaniels in your organization.
I mean, and NBA is not too far behind. Let's face it.
Wow, no, they're built for that, and I'm sad for Oakland, but they're going to make it work, and it's going to bring in tons of revenue. I mean, if the Rockies, being as bad as they are, can continuously have corporate sponsors and people filling suites with a bad team in Vegas, that they're going to do that because it's going to be a show. It'll be interesting with pitch clocks and everything, how they put on a show in Vegas, but they're going to find a way.
And let's not forget too, we mentioned Oakland A's is kind of rich in history. They have 9 World Series titles. Jeez. I mean, the latest one is 1989, but still they have 9 of them.
I didn't realize they had 9. Oh man, that is. It's scary to think how bad ownership can really just tank a franchise, because they should be one of those teams that doesn't leave ever. I mean, Yankees in New York. I know the Dodgers moved, but that was during a time when they moved from Brooklyn to LA. That was during a time where there was, it was the Polo Grounds and the Giants. Everyone was moving out west, and so now it just feels like some of these teams should be entrenched in their communities, and them up and moving. It just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, so we will see. Again, I think they'll maybe stick with tradition and keep the name of the A's, although the Las Vegas Athletics, I guess it kind of rolls off the tongue. I
mean, the Vegas A's.
Yeah, the Vegas A's. Because when you're talking about the Golden Knights, they don't really use the loss in Vegas. They say Vegas Golden Knights. So
yeah,
I guess you don't say loss anymore.
Man, maybe not. I mean, I'm sure any of the players hope the loss goes out of all of their teams.
Maybe that's why they take it out, because they don't want the word loss. I know it's LAS and not LOSS, but yeah. Or
don't want the bad juju.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the Raiders suck, because they're the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, they do say Las Vegas Raiders. The Aces, do they say Las Vegas Aces or just the Vegas Aces? Either way, they
might even just go by the Aces.
Either way, they've won back-to-back WNBA championships. Yeah. So which is weird by a Mark Davis owned team that they've won championships. So
I didn't know Mark Davis owned the Aces.
He owns them too. Yeah, and don't forget, Tom Brady is a part owner of the Raiders and the Aces as well. So
hello, comeback.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if an NBA team moved there and I don't know, like Tom Brady and somehow like LeBron James is owners of the Las Vegas team.
That would be flashy. That would
be if LeBron owned the Vegas team, do you think he also plays for the Vegas team and somehow gets his kid to play there somehow?
Oh man, that would the NBA is so perfect for Vegas.
That's one guy I would like to put in a chokehold, by the way.
LeBron, LeBron or Bronny, which one?
I'm nothing against his kid except that he's related to him.
Yeah,
Anyway,
LeBron kind of just became. He ruined his image when he went to Miami.
Well,
he really did.
He still would be dominant by not going to Miami. He still would have. No, did you see that? Did you see that his tweet the last week or the week before?
No.
Somebody said LeBron would not be as dominant if he didn't go to Miami, or he wouldn't be as whatever. I don't remember what it said. And then LeBron, of course, retweeted it and said, He said, I would still be as dominant as I am today, maybe less rings, but still dominant. So he's, again, maybe taken out of context a little bit, but he's almost discrediting his time in Miami, which he was there 4 years, went to 4 straight finals, won 2 of them. So you're just going to say Miami didn't count? Because remember when he went to Miami and then he went back to Cleveland, he said, I didn't go to college. Going to Miami those 4 years was like going to college for me. I grew up, learned how to win, and he brought that mentality back to Cleveland and then subsequently won a championship. So I don't know if he's saying, Miami doesn't really count. I'd still be as dominant. I mean, again, maybe taking out – I don't know how – when you write stuff online through text, whatever, you don't really get the tone across.
Yeah.
But still, he's saying – I would still be the player I am without Miami, maybe less rings.
I think he would be more liked. I mean, the LA move after he won his championship in Cleveland, if he had stayed in Cleveland and was able to win the championship there before going to Miami and doing it, and I understand that they got so close so many times, it just really made him an unlikable character. And that's what kind of sucks, because it was fun to watch Melo and LeBron go at it and to compare the two. And while LeBron was always better, it still was a fun talking point. And then it just got to the point where once he went to Miami, I didn't want to talk about LeBron anymore. I didn't want to watch it anymore because I just hated how dirty he made the NBA feel. And it's not like he was the first guy to do something like that. It's just the way he did it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of, I don't want to say started the big 3 era, and that's kind of gone away now. Just kind of that teaming up. You need 3 superstars to win, which maybe you still do, but teams aren't doing it as much. They're kind of going away from that. A lot of big 3s I think teams are trying to home grow.
Yeah,
big 3s now. I mean, you look at Denver. I don't know who the third is, but when Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic are on the court together, that is a super hard duo to stop, and obviously led them to an NBA championship last year with a healthy Jamal Murray. Unfortunately, he's been sidelined the last couple of weeks and will be for the next couple of weeks. But it's almost like duos now are kind of taking over, even in LA. When you mention the Lakers, it's always going to be LeBron, AD.
Yep.
The Clippers are trying to make it like a big 5. even Russell Westbrook's like, nah, I'm done. I'll come off the bench.
Yeah, it's kind of gone back to the 2-man game, Malone Stockton type of game, Jordan Pippen kind of thing. And not that those teams didn't have other players, but it has gone back to that 2-man type of game. When you mentioned the Clippers, did you see Bones Highland's comments, by the way?
Oh, about a ring or
about the ring? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I was him, I wouldn't really be expecting a ring, I guess.
No, I'm just glad that I was right. That he hasn't heard about a ring. He ain't getting a ring.
Thomas Bryant getting a ring because he finished the season didn't play a lick of minutes, but
yes, but he was on the team.
He finished.
He didn't cause an uproar. He wasn't a distraction to the team. He didn't quit on them in the middle of a game and leave with all of his stuff. Yeah, Bones. I was really excited. Like I might have told you this, but I wish opening night was against the Clippers to watch the Nuggets all get their rings and Bones just sit there on the side.
I mean, it was super satisfying too that it was against the Lakers too.
It's true. I just don't. Because I wanted to like Bones Highland so much, and then he became just so unlikable.
Well, I mean, yeah, and Bones, what do you expect? Like, your playing time's gonna go away when Jamal Murray's healthy. Like, you're not gonna be playing over Jamal.
Yeah. It was just
look at the professionalism by Reggie Jackson, by the way, who didn't get that much playing time in the playoffs. I mean, it was Bruce Brown coming off the bench, and Reggie didn't get that much. And now look at Reggie thrust into the starting lineup because Jamal's hurt, biding his time. Now he's a 10,000 point career point scorer and playing pretty well right now.
Yeah, I don't think Reggie Jackson played more than 10 minutes in the playoffs. Yeah. I mean, But he came back. He wanted to be on a winner and help, and he knew he could help the team and management. Kudos to management. I was kind of surprised they brought him back, but so far, it's early in the season, and Reggie is an older player, so we'll see how it stands up. But so far, it has paid huge dividends for the Nuggets.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on what goes on. And when the Nuggets did play the Clippers, Bones, by the way, 0 minutes the other night.
Oh man. And Russell Westbrook is coming off the bench, isn't he, for them?
Well, because he was like, I'm done with James Harden. I've tried it twice. This is my third go around with this dude, and I'll just help the second unit. I'll play with the young guys.
There is just something about watching the Clippers fail that is so satisfying.
And I do like Paul George. I mean, he could not miss, by the way, against the Nuggets the other night. He could not miss, and he did everything he could to win that game. And then I don't know if you saw, he had an attempt at the game-tying three-pointer, and then he threw up a wedgie. The ball got stuck between the rim and the back.
No.
Yeah,
oh, man.
Yeah. On a potential game-tying three, the ball gets stuck, which is a jump ball, I guess, by rule. So they jumped it, but don't know if you've watched or seen any of Paul George's podcast. A pretty good podcast by Paul George, which has made me like him a lot. So I do like Paul George. Russell Westbrook is a future Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. By the way, when you talk about triple doubles, 192. You forget that Russell Westbrook leads all of everybody in history in career triple doubles. Remember, I don't know what year it was, but when he was with OKC, he averaged a triple double. One of his MVP seasons, by the way, he averaged a triple double for a season.
That's right. Yeah. I remember it was like every game it was a triple double for him.
I mean, when you average one for a season, you're pretty much damn near 80, 81 triple doubles.
Yeah, that was crazy. That season was unbelievable. I remember there was some controversy about a few of them, how he got them too.
Well, yeah, because
intentionally missing shots at the end of the game.
I think he shot a ball off the backboard on the opponent's basket just to get a
That's
rebound.
right. Yeah, the wrong basket. Yes.
But whatever, if you're going for a record like that and you're at 9.9 rebounds on the last day of the season, I'm going to do that too. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, you're in the record books.
Yeah, and a lot of people are forgetting 192 career triple doubles. When you think of triple doubles, I don't think many people think, at least maybe the casual fan doesn't think Russell Westbrook leads everybody ever in triple doubles.
Yeah, it really was a span of like 3 seasons where he just it was night in, night out, and that specifically that 1 year that every night triple double. It was just, I mean, Jokic has kind of changed people's perspective on that because now it's him night in, night out. I mean, he's negative money some nights to get a triple double.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like,
by the way, I guess I wasn't paying. I did a 15-leg parlay the other night on the Nuggets game, and I guess I wasn't paying attention. I missed one.
Oh,
I think I thought it said over 9.5 assists for Joker, but it said under. And that was the only one I missed because he had like 16 assists.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I would not be here right now if I had. I would have won $4,300.
Woo. I got a fun one today. I got 6 different defenses scoring touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think if I get 6 different defenses that score touchdowns today, $1 turns into like $100,000. That's
crazy. By the way, I said 192 career triple doubles for Russell Westbrook. It's 198. So I miscredited him with 6 more triple doubles. By the way, it was the 2016-17 season in which he averaged career triple doubles. He finished the 16-17 season, Colin, 31 points, almost 32 points a game, almost 11 rebounds a game, and 10.5 assists a game. And it was back-to-back seasons he averaged triple-double.
Man, how good would the Thunder have been if they could have kept those guys? Like, first of all, Harden's ego in check, and if they could have just kept those guys in Oklahoma City. They would have been a dynasty.
Oh yeah. But again, you know, LeBron needed Miami for his career as much as he discredits it, or as much as people didn't like the move. He needed it, you know, just to, I guess, learn the ways of winning. He needed to team up with people, and I'm assuming KD needed to go to the Warriors for him to experience that. And he, you know, I mean, say what you will about Harden, let's not forget KD has kind of forced his way out of certain situations as well.
Oh yeah, like 3 times. I mean, 3 times it feels like from Oklahoma City. Then
he was a free agent though, wasn't he? Though after his time in OKC.
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
I don't think he was traded, but he did, and he played out how many? I mean, he played what was it, 4 seasons in Golden State?
Well, I guess I shouldn't say he forced his way out of OKC because he saw the writing on the wall because Harden had gone, Westbrook was going, but yeah, out of Golden State, out of the Nets.
Yeah, we'll see how long he lasts in Phoenix.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to last long there if they're going to keep just being below average.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think the big 3 there has only played 2 games together, I want to say. So not many.
Should have kept Chris Paul. Even though Chris Paul breaks down in the playoffs. Yeah,
and he's also and Chris Paul is actually doing pretty decent as Golden State's 6th man. So he did start the other night when the WWE fight broke out. Yeah. So because Steph Curry was on the sideline. But did you see Gobert's comments, by the way? He said every time that Steph doesn't play, he doesn't like playing without Steph, so he does whatever he can to get ejected.
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, that's what Rudy Gobert said. So there you go. All right, let's shift our gears really quickly to finish the show. We're going to run, and I mean sprint, through these NFL games. We'll give you as much information as we can. No early morning game, by the way, so we're not.
Thank goodness.
We're not playing across the pond or over in Dutchland. So no Germany, no London game this morning. So it is week 11, so only 6 weeks until the end of the season, which is kind of crazy to think about. Starting off with AFC North matchup, Colin, the Cleveland Browns are at home against Pittsburgh without Deshaun Watson, by the way, still a 2-point favorite at home. Deshaun Watson is opening brand new massage parlors all over the local Cleveland area, so he is out for the season, needs to spend time there. And are you shocked that Cleveland's still a 2-point favorite in this one?
No, I'm kind of shocked that the over. I mean, I think I saw the over/under drop to 36 in this game.
Taking the under.
Yeah, I'm taking the under. Actually, this is one game where I put a few extra dollars on both the Pittsburgh and the Browns defense scoring touchdowns alone. I think that this is going to be an ugly game. I also put a bet on this game for no touchdowns scored.
There you go.
Because this could be a no touchdown type of game. I almost hit one 2 weeks ago. It was close. But they're both defensive teams. Kenny Pickett doesn't seem to have it as a quarterback for the Steelers, even though they have great wide receivers. Their running game is starting to pick up. But Cleveland's defense is just so good. This is going to be one of those games that if you watch Red Zone, you wouldn't know that these two teams were playing.
Probably not.
But yeah, I was going to say I would take Cleveland. I'm still taking Cleveland just because I think their running game is just going to hold up enough against the Steelers. But no, you know what? I'm not doubting Mike Tomlin. You know what? You give Mike Tomlin a backup quarterback and time to prepare. Give me Pittsburgh. Give me Pittsburgh. I lied. I'm switching.
Well, there you go. You know what? I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to go Cleveland at home. You mentioned Kenny Smallhands Pickett. We'll see what he can do. What is it? Dorian Thompson Robinson? Is he
Dorian Thompson Robinson? DTR.
Dorian, yeah, the dude with 8 names. He's going to be the starter. PJ Walker is going to be the backup now. So we'll see. I'm just going to go with Cleveland. You know, kind of both teams are AFC North teams always just beat the crap out of each other. It's going to be a down and dirty game, like you said, defensive game. So I'm just going to go Cleveland at home. Why the hell not? All right, another early game as the 2-8 Arizona Cardinals head into the 5-4 Houston Texans. And what else can you say about CJ Stroud's rookie year, Colin? 15 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, 2,600 passing yards. Kyler Murray is back, so he must have sped through the new Call of Duty to get back on the field. So he is back. He did not play well last week. 1 interception, no touchdown, 250 passing yards, whatever.
I was going to say he did okay.
Yeah.
For his first game back.
Yeah. I mean, his hands are a little sore from holding a controller. It's whatever. You're going to have those games where you got to shift from watching a screen 24 hours to reading a playbook. It's a difficult transition. So Houston is a 5.5 point favorite at home, Colin, and that's who I'm going to go with.
Yeah, CJ Stroud has lit the NFL on fire, holds the record now for most passing yards by a rookie quarterback, had some huge games. The Texans are without Noah Brown, but that just means that Tank Dell and Nico Collins are great plays, and Devin Singletary might have just found the fountain of youth last week. With no Damian Pierce there, he gets the bulk of it. Arizona's played their opponents tough, but Houston is just on a roll, so you can't go against them.
All right, the 3-6 Tennessee Titans head into the 6-3 Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars coming off a brutal loss to San Francisco last week, 34-3, and Tennessee's coming on a 2-game losing streak, close one against Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago, and then got blown out by the Buccaneers last week, 20-6. Trevor Lawrence, 2,100 passing yards. It is new time. It is Is it Levi jeans, or is it Levis?
Levis.
All right.
Will Levis.
Not Will Levi jeans. Okay. So, yeah, Will Levis is the starting quarterback now, and he absolutely did awesome a couple of weeks ago in his first game, throwing 4 touchdown passes in his first ever action. And that cute girl that was with him at the draft is sorry that she broke up with him now. So you have that. Jacksonville's a 6.5 point favorite at home. And why not? I'll go with the Jags, I guess.
This is another game that I think, it could be really ugly. It really could be 2 ends of the spectrum. I don't think it's going to be one of those middle of the road 21-20 games, but it could be like a 40-35, or it could be a 10-7 game. And I just, if we're talking about the spread, I take the Titans because these are typically close games, but the Jaguars are just better right now. And so straight up, give me the Jags.
All right.
But expect Derrick Henry to go off.
There you go. Another AFC matchup as the aforementioned Las Vegas Raiders, 5-5, head into the 6-3 Miami Dolphins. Miami, a 2-touchdown favorite at home in this one. Jimmy Garoppolo's Islands is out, for the season now. So he is no longer the quarterback for the Raiders, are no more. And, of course, you have Antonio Pierce coming in as your interim head coach, have kind of gotten the Raiders back on track, for lack of a better term. Devontae Adams has kind of switched his tone, said he'd run through a brick wall for him. Let's face it, Devontae Adams is not running through a brick wall for anybody. And Miami coming off a difficult loss last week against Kansas City, so they're raring to go. 2 touchdowns. You taking that?
Yeah, I think the Cinderella story for Vegas ends here as far as these 2 wins go. Miami, you'd mentioned the tough loss. I was out in Germany against KC, and they had a week to prepare. I expect them, especially with Devon Achane coming back, to run all over Vegas and try and put up another 70 on the AFC West.
All right, both of us. Miami at home, definitely. 6-3 Dallas Cowboys head into the 1-8 Carolina Bears. And I say Carolina Bears because the more they lose, the higher the draft stock is for the Chicago Bears, potentially getting the first 2 picks.
Unreal.
Next year's NFL draft. Dallas, I I don't know if getting back on track is the right term. They lost a close one to Philly a couple weeks ago, and then they blew out again. The Giants, say what you will about the Giants, blew them out 49-17, which I'm glad for because Dak is on my fantasy team. Speaking of Dakota Rain, he's got 2,400 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 6 interception. Bryce Young, the other high-touted rookie before the season, 8 touchdowns, 7 picks. So he's leaps and bounds behind C.J. Stroud. So keep that in mind as well. Both teams, by the way, relatively healthy on the offensive side. Couple tight ends banged up for both teams, but otherwise pretty much healthy on both sides. Dallas is a 10.5-point favorite on the road, and they should be. I'm going to go with Dallas all day.
Yeah, give me the Cowboys. And Bryce Young, you mentioned how he's way behind CJ Stroud. That's a lot more play calling personnel. If you look at what he's had to do there, he has Adam 50-year-old Thielen to throw to, and his average depth of target is something like 4 yards. It's not good. They don't have offensive weapons. It's too soon to give up on Bryce Young, but you got to get some talent there around him.
Right. So we'll see what happens with the Carolina Panthers. And like you said, Adam Thielen, 50 years old.
Shane Steichen has taken back play calling. So
who's that coach? Frank Wright, isn't it?
Or Frank Wright. Shane Steichen, my bad. Yeah, Frank Wright has taken back offensive play calling. So it could revert to you could see some more offense from this team. It doesn't mean a lot, but he was calling plays early in the year, which is one of the reasons why Thielen was doing so good. They changed play callers, and they've looked terrible since then. So look for that change with that offense to get Thielen a lot more involved.
All right, we have the 4-5 Los Angeles Chargers. I almost said Clippers because they have the same abbreviation, LAC. Los Angeles Chargers heading into the 3-6 Green Bay Packers. The Chargers are a 3-point favorite on the road. Justin Herbert, 2,300 yards, 17 touchdowns. Jordan Love, just over 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns. A.J. Dillon is your leading rusher for the Packers. And Keenan Allen, of course, your leading receiver for the Chargers. Keenan Allen is questionable, by the way. That came down this morning. He will be a game-time decision. So Keenan Allen owners, he's owned by 89% of ESPN fantasy leagues. So keep that in mind as well. Gerald Everett is out, and Jalen Guyton is questionable as well, their other receiver.
Keenan Allen did say he was going to play yesterday.
Well, too bad it's not up to
him. Okay.
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
I mean, unless something happens in pregame warmups, I everything that I've read said he's playing.
All right, so there you go. Just keep an eye on that one if anything were to change. Again, Clippers. Oh my God, I just said it. The Chargers are a 3-point favorite on the road. Is Green Bay in shambles? I guess stick it up your cram hole, LaFleur. I'm going to go with the Chargers on the road.
Yeah, I got to believe the Chargers are going to turn it around at some point. And if the Broncos can beat the Packers, then the Chargers should be able to also.
Right. So keep that in mind as well. Battle of NFC teams here as the 2-8 New York Football Giants head into the 4-6. But the Broncos also lost to the Commanders.
Exactly. That's all
right. Washington 8.5-point favorites at home. Sam Howell, who the Broncos made look like a Hall of Fame quarterback, he's got 2,700 passing yards, 17 touchdowns, 9 picks. Is it Danny DeVito? Is he starting for the Giants now? Is that who we're going?
Yep, Mr. DeVito is still in there.
All right, Danny DeVito is your starting quarterback for the New York Giants. Darren Waller is out, so Giants are just crumbling right now. Yeah. I don't know how much the Saquon Barkley experiment's going to keep going in New York. Brian Daboll went from coach of the year last year to trying to figure out how to win games in New York. So he wishes that he just had something to work on, but it is just kind of falling apart with the Giants. So I'll go with Washington at home.
Yeah, Washington, and it's a steady dose of DeVito to Barkley all day because that's all they have. I mean, DeVito just can't throw the ball. It's going to be an ugly game. This should probably be another running matchup where once the Commanders take a big enough lead, you just see Brian Robinson or Antonio Gibson was dinged up. But yeah, give me the Commanders. The Giants could end up with the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, the Bears hope not. All right, the 4-5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers head into the 6-3 San Francisco Giants. San Francisco, a 6-3
49ers.
What did I say?
Giants.
See, I'm still on baseball mode. I don't know. Getting all these teams.
Mixing up all the California teams.
Yeah. The 6-3 San Francisco 49ers. They are a 13.5-point favorite at home. Baker having a pretty decent year. His first year at the helm with the Buccaneers. 14 touchdowns, 5 picks. Brock Purdy, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. So almost evenly matched when it comes to their stats, I guess. Christian McCaffrey, 9 touchdowns on the ground. And so both of these teams relatively healthy. A couple banged up offensive linemen for both teams, but otherwise pretty much healthy. Give me the 49ers at home.
Yeah, give me the 49ers and Christian McCaffrey to get like 3 touchdowns to make up for not getting the touchdown record last week.
There you go. The 4-5 New York Jets head into the maybe surprising 5-5 Buffalo Bills coming off a loss to the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football. Buffalo is an 8.5-point favorite at home, and Zach Wilson still slinging the ball around, sometimes to the other team. But
is that what he's doing?
Yes. Have you seen those memes where like screw it, somebody's down there, I'm just going to throw it? Josh Allen, 2,600 yards. This is interesting. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if somehow the Jets upset Buffalo in Orchard Park. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is Zach Wilson's mom going? I don't know. I mean, there's just a lot of factors here. And by the way, did you see Aaron Rodgers? He said he might be back by Thanksgiving.
I thought it was December. Was it Thanksgiving that he said? Oh,
yeah, he said Thanksgiving.
Jeez, he's an animal. And ayahuasca, that's one hell of a drug.
Yeah. Is he bionic? Or is he just peyote? Is that what?
Maybe. Whatever he's taking. I mean, maybe he is delusional because he's on some of those things. That's just so fast for an Achilles. You're right. I definitely take the Jets to cover this game. Their defense is too good, and Josh Allen has shown a tendency in recent games, especially early on, to put his team behind the 8 ball with turnovers. So,
yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going to go with the Jets on the road. I think, I don't know if I mentioned this when you were on here last, Colin, is the last couple of years, this championship window for the Buffalo Bills has been open. They bring Stephon Diggs over. They've made it to the AFC Championship game, and they just keep falling short. Is this window officially on its way shut?
Yeah, I think it is shut. I don't think they can come back from how this year started. And they've got to get rid of some guys. We saw after last week, Stephon Diggs getting shut down by Surtain, his brother Trayvon saying, you got to get that guy out of there. There's trouble in Buffalo. I do think they win this game. I just don't think at 8.5 that I don't think the Jets let that big of a lead happen. That's really where it stands. I think the Bills win by 6, but Buffalo's toast. They might not make the playoffs. Right now they're not in the playoffs.
Only one of these two people can stop Buffalo. There you go.
Oh,
there you go. All right, we have the 6-3 Seattle Seahawks going into the 3-6 Los Angeles Rams. Rams are still somehow a 2-point favorite at home. They bring in who they bring in the other day, Carson Wentz to be Matt Stafford's backup, which
Stafford should be back.
Yeah, just kind of weird that you bring in Wentz to, I don't know. So did they get rid of Brett Rippon then?
Yeah, Brett Rippon got cut.
Poor guy.
He had a bad game. that was ugly in Green Bay last week.
Yeah, as they lose terribly, 20-3, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't care how much of a Hall of Famer your uncle is, we're gonna get rid of you." Geno, 2,100 passing yards. Stafford, just over 2,000, 8 touchdowns, 7 picks. Nakua, how about the season he's having? 827 yards, 2 touchdowns. A lot of that's kind of going away with the return of Cooper Kupp, but still you got a pretty good dual threat there when it comes to receiver. I'm going to go with Seattle on the road. Are you a little surprised that the Rams are still favored in this one?
Not at all. Seattle's trending in the wrong direction. They have one good cornerback. Well, one really good cornerback and one above average. But give me the Rams and Stafford being back. He is. Yeah, I think the Rams kind of have a trend at the end of the season where we start to see them look really good and fight possibly for a playoff spot in that division.
All right, the battle of NFC North matchup here. The 3-7 Chicago Bears go into the 7-2 Detroit Lions. Lions, I'm surprised is not a little bit of a bigger favorite here. Only 7.5 at home. The quarterback, I guess, controversy, for lack of a better term, in Chicago is very interesting, to say the least. With Justin Fields healthy, he's been practicing, but is he going to be starting? That is the big question. DJ Moore having an okay season. The Sun God having a decent season, 821 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jared Goff seems to be, I don't want to say back, Colin, because he really never was anywhere. But he's having a good season. 2,500 yards, 14 touchdowns, only 5 picks. Give me Detroit at home.
You can't beat Goff at home.
Yeah, get Goff.
So Goff is at home. He's great. And you're right, the Bears, the controversy starts when the draft starts. It's Justin Fields, and DJ Moore should have a great game with Fields back. There's no controversy between him and the future arm wrestling champion. And I did misspeak when I was just talking about the Rams. I said conference. I said division. They could be in line for a playoff spot in the conference. They're not catching up to the 49ers. But yeah, in this game, give me Detroit all day. They're gonna put the numbers, and Jahmyr Gibbs is all of a sudden blown up.
All right, the Sunday night matchup, which obviously has local ties for us. The 6-4 Minnesota Vikings head into the 4-5 Denver Broncos. Denver obviously coming off a couple of big wins, one against Kansas, 3 in a row, but 2 big wins against Kansas City and Buffalo last week on Monday Night Football. So back-to-back primetime games for the Broncos. How about the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, Colin? I mean, this is a guy who was on Cleveland's training camp roster, by the way, to start the season. He starts basically the entire season until last couple weeks for Arizona, and then Kirk Cousins goes down with a Achilles injury, and then Josh Dobbs comes in and wins. I mean, is this going to come down to earth here soon, or is this kind of Cinderella story? Is it going to keep going in Denver?
The Cinderella, I don't like. I really don't want to pick the Broncos, but the Broncos are on a run. I'm interested to see if Sean Payton decides to try and mix things up from what's been working and add some wrinkles to it that haven't worked, or goes back to some stuff. If the Broncos want to win, they got to keep doing what they're doing, establish a ground game, and keep it away from the Vikings secondary, which has one of the best safeties in the game in Harrison Bryant. So, yeah, he comes down to earth. The rocket fuel has run out in this week because the Broncos defense has played great. And without Justin Jefferson playing for the Vikings, I think they'll be able to, PS2 should be able to really lock up on Jordan Addison. And KJ Osborne, while he's talented, I'm not worried about him nearly as much as I would be worried about if Jefferson and Addison were playing. So give me the Broncos, even though I think they should have started tanking a while ago and traded, and they're going against what I really think, with a below average roster, they're bucking the trend. So give me the Broncos, and I guess we have to hope for some trades in the offseason.
By the way,
free agents.
Yeah, by the way, this is the first time the Broncos have been favored at home since the New York Jets were in town, and they lost that game 31-21. They're 2.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I mean, Will Lutz, don't miss a field goal, or make sure there's 12 guys on the field when you're kicking it.
Or make sure that is it still Riley Dixon?
The holder? You get the spider tack? Yeah.
Make sure that he still has some foreign substance, some pine tar on his hand too.
Yeah. Did you see the after picture of his hand?
Yeah. I thought it was like a scar or a bruise.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. But apparently it was just horse manure, I guess. Or goat urine. Is that what we're calling it?
Goat urine. Yeah, no, that was a pretty bad burn. Oh my god. As a chef who's burned himself a lot of times, like that's a different type of burn. Oh,
there you go. All right, the Monday night game is going to be a doozy. It's a rematch of last year's Super Bowl, by the way. The 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles head into the 7-2 Kansas City Swifts. And this is going to be an interesting one because obviously it's going to have a crap ton of storylines. Let's face it, the Kelsey brothers, again, Super Bowl rematch, Taylor Swift. I mean, this is just going to have – it's going to be like entertainment tonight, Colin, and then there's a football game. Football game is going to be secondary. And I like the Kelsey brothers. Their podcast is funny. It is, so say what you will. Both of them are, I think, nominated for Time's Sexiest Man Alive somehow. So there you go. But Philadelphia coming in, slight favorite on the road. And who do you got?
That line is swung then because Philly was an underdog. So
sorry, KC 2.5-point favorites.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh man, how did that swing? I'm glad I got it when it was Philly as the dogs. I like Philly, even though Andy Reid's history of coming off of bye weeks is really damn good. I think Philly just has too much firepower for the KC offense with how KC has looked this year. And while KC's defense has been better, Philly just seems to have turned it on. And I think that they are getting right at the perfect time of the season. Not that they weren't right before, but they're really kind of clicking on all cylinders. So give me Philly, cover, win, send it.
There you go. Signed, sealed, delivered. I'm going to go with Philly as well. I don't know. Is it almost becoming too much? I don't think it's too much of a distraction, all the hype and all of the side stuff that's been going on, but I don't know. I think, but also too, when she is at those games, Colin, they haven't lost a game. Reminder.
It's true.
She was not in Denver and they lost.
She was not, and she was in Rio. She had to cancel a show because of bad weather the other day. So I don't know if she's making it on Monday night, but I'm sure she probably can fire up the private jet to get there. One thing I do want to say is like it feels like the Chiefs are just waiting for the playoffs.
They just downshifted. They're just coasting right now.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. They're just the AFC West is so bad. I mean, they're just all right. We're gonna win the division. We'll get to the playoffs, and then we'll turn it on. That's what it kind of feels like to me.
Yeah, almost. I mean, I get it, but you almost don't want to see that because you want everyone's best football. Again, before the Broncos game, we were like they can bring in the third string playbook and still win this game. But then they effed around and found out that I guess we can't. They're kind of using Pat Mahomes' flu game, I guess, as an excuse. But, he was out there. He was, I guess, healthy enough to play. So I don't know how much you can use that as an excuse. But, yeah, I mean, I saw Andy Reid's record after bye week. It's pretty staggering when you look at it. But Philly, like you said, is just too much on a roll right now.
Yeah, and when you look back at the Broncos breaking the streak against the Chiefs, you're not going to – in 5 years, you're not going to be like, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes had the flu that game.
No.
We'll remember it, but he was out there. He was playing. The Broncos have held him pretty much in check. So the Chiefs, I think they're messing around and figuring out what works. And come 2-3 weeks from now, they're going to really turn it on and crank everything up. And probably that offense will start rolling again. But not this week. Not this week.
No. Yeah, Philly's defense is, I don't want to say underrated, Colin, but I don't hear them getting enough praises. Maybe perhaps they should.
No, they have an underrated secondary that has also they've dealt with injuries. They're coming back. I think that this end of season for Philly also, watch out because they'll probably start to ramp things up as well.
All right. Yeah, that'll be definitely something to keep an eye on as well. But that's going to do it for us here on the Wheelhouse. I want to thank Colin for filling in this morning. Once again, go catch Undrafted, Uncensored on e5280sports.com. You can go to YouTube. Make sure you click and subscribe to our YouTube channel at 5280 Sports Radio. And then go to our home base, e5280sports.com. You got everything there, the latest pod drops, video and audio as well. You can go to the audio vault. Everything is in there. You can go to the video vault. Everything is in there. And check us out on Spotify as well. So, Colin, thank you.
Thank you, man. Let's get ready for a good day of football games that aren't that good.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I'm just in, like, full basketball hockey mode. This might be the least amount of football I think I've ever watched.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I'm not there yet, but that's also because I got 5 fantasy teams and a bunch of stuff going on that I gotta pay attention to.
Yeah, I limited myself to one fantasy team, Colin. I started the season, I think 1-5 fantasy wise, and I've rattled off 4 in a row. So
Denver Broncos of fantasy right now.
There you go. See, I should be managing fantasy video game type teams.
I love it. Sign you up.
There you go. All right, that's going to do it for us here on the Wheelhouse. Again, go to e5280sports.com. Check out Fantasy Talk with Tom to help you get your fantasy lineups plugged in as well. And again, big shout out to our own Kim Becker for first female PA announcer at the Broncos game tonight, Sunday night football. There you go. But for Colin's Anchor, I am Michael Spillane. We will talk to you next week.
See ya.